That skill presents foreign exchange. There are many different countries in the world and each typically has its own currency. For example, you use the rand in South Africa, they use the Great Britain pound in the UK, the euro in a large part of Europe, the United States dollar in the United States, and so on and so forth. Each currency has a different value attached to it. 1 rand cannot buy you the same as $1. Currencies are related to each other by the exchange rate between those two currencies. The exchange rate tells you how many units of one currency you have to give up to get a single unit of the other currency. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. If 1 euro is 15.304 rand, how many euros are there in 100 rand? The euro is the currency they use in Europe and it's denoted using this symbol. So if you look at this question, we have 100 rand. So we have our 100 and then that needs to be converted to a certain number of euros. Therefore, in the end, we are looking for a certain number of that is equal to certain number of euros. Which means this unit, this rand goes off and then in place of that we need this unit. And just as you know, units also multiply and divide just like numbers. So you can cross off units if there is a unit in the numerator and the same unit appears in the denominator of a fraction, you can cross them out. And I'm going to take advantage of that. But the first step is I'm going to play a little trick here. All I'm going to say is, okay, 100 rand is the same as 100 rand times 1. Well, that might seem pretty obvious. Yes, a number is always the number times 1, but I'm allowed to do that, right? I'm not changing that number. And then, in place of this 1, I can write down any expression that evaluates to 1. For example, I could have written, let's say, 1 is equal to 2 over 2. I could have replaced that with 2 over 2, or let's say 50 over 50. I can pretty much write anything in its place that equates to 1. And what I'm going to do is, because I want to get rid of this rand and bring in a euro, I'm going to say this is equal to 100 rand times a certain number of euros divided with a certain number of rand. So that, like I said, units also multiply and divide like numbers. This rand and this rand will cross off, and in the end, we have a certain number of euros in the answer. But then I cannot put any number down. I have to be sure that that number equates to 1. I can only have a 1 here, no other number. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use this exchange rate that's given in the problem that says 1 euro and 15.304 rand are the same. So I will write 1 euro on the top and 15.304 rand on the bottom. After all, this and this, the numerator and the denominator of this fraction are exactly equal. It's given. And the good thing is, the rand from the bottom cancels off with the rand from the top. Therefore, we are left with this unit euros. That's exactly what we were looking for. And the numbers can multiply and divide as usual. And therefore, this is going to be equal to 100 times 1 over 15.304, which is equal to 6.534, the numerical portion of the answer. And then we have a certain number of euros in the unit. So this is going to be this many number of euros. 100 rand is equal to 6.534 euros. Let's try another one. If 1 rand is equal to 0.073 USD, how many USD make 50 rand? And there's another question. Let's do the first part. The first part is pretty obvious, pretty simple, I would say. In the sense, you don't have to change the unit. They said that, okay, 1 rand is equal to USD 0.073. And 50 Rand is equal to how many USD? So all you need to do is, because this has been multiplied with 50, you multiply this with 50 as well to get the answer. So if 1 Rand is this much amount of USD, 50 Rand is going to be, I guess, 3.65 USD. And that answers the first part. How many USD make 50 Rand? USD 3.65. Note that you could have still used the idea from the previous problem to find this one out. So you could have multiplied 50 Rand with 1 and replaced the 1 with USD 0.073 over 1 Rand. So that amounts to multiplying 50 with 0.073. That's exactly what I have done. This more or less comes from common sense. If 1 is this, 50 is going to be this times 50. To answer the second part, how many South African Rand are there in 100 USD? Let's do it that way. So we have 100 USD, but the final answer needs to be put in Rand, a certain number of Rand. And therefore, we are going to times this with 1, and we are going to rewrite that 1 as a certain number of Rand over USD. So that the USD and the USD cross off, we have a Rand left over as the final unit. And then this number, this fraction has to be equal to 1. Therefore, the numerator has to be equal to the denominator, and therefore we have 1 Rand is the same as 0.073 USD. This and this are the same. In a fraction, when the numerator and the denominator are same, the fraction equates to 1. And therefore, effectively, it amounts to saying 100 times 1 over 0.073 or 100 divided by 0.073. And that is equal to 1369.86. 100 divided by 0.073. So here you go. How many South African Rand? 1369.86 South African Rand make up 100 USD.